Here's a stat that'll shock people. Football Outsiders, which I think is the best way to, the DVOA stat, it's nerdy even by my standards, but it's a respected metric because it adjusts for opponent and all of that. The number 11 defense in the NFL this year belongs to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs have had a gauntlet of a schedule up to this point. They have played the Ravens, the Colts, the Texans, the Vikings, the Packers, the Raiders, who are all of a sudden good. Their easiest game of the year was against Denver, a game where they saw their quarterback have his kneecap dislocated. Right. Detroit's one of their easier games. Jacksonville, that's all 9. Not a single walkover in there. Not an AFC East team, not one of these dregs of the NFC East, none of it. The Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes is going to play this weekend, and the next game the Kansas City Chiefs lose is going to be next season. They play 7 games the rest of the year. 1 game is against what I would call a high-quality opponent at New England. I believe they can go to New England and win, and I still believe they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think that they dodged as big of a bullet as one can dodge. They found a way to go 1-1, and the way they beat the Vikings, snuffing out Dalvin Cook with Chris Jones, their all-pro D-tackle, back in the lineup, was an enormous shot in the arm for this team defensively. I do believe the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, and I don't think they're going to lose again this season, regular season or postseason, once Patrick comes back, and Patrick is coming back Sunday. This is just another, it's not the 33,000 points. We knew he was going to get that. And just like we know he's going to pass Kobe, eventually Karl Malone, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's going to finish as the all-time leading scorer, 3rd all-time in assists, more All-NBA teams than anybody, more All-Star games than anybody, more games, more minutes. He already has every single playoff record, points, assists, steals, like all of it. But it is things like this that when people start evaluating the greatest players ever, like when we evaluate Wilt versus Russell, none of us saw it. And so you basically just have to look in the record books. You have to read what people were saying in real time and make your evaluation from there. Folks that didn't see LeBron or Michael 50 years from now, when they look at the record books, they're going to say, how was this ever a discussion? LeBron James didn't just become the 4th player ever to 33,000 points yesterday. He, of course, became the youngest player to 33,000 points. He has been the youngest player for every 1,000-point mark the NBA has. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, all the way up to 33,000. The youngest guy to do it was LeBron. He'll be the youngest 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Then he'll be the first to 39,000 and the only person ever to hit 40. And it just adds to the list. And if and when, and I think it's more win than if, he wins a championship with the Lakers, he'll, of course, be the first guy to ever win titles with 3 different teams as the best player on 3 different teams. Like, it's just another notch in the resume of a guy who I think it will not even be a debate when it's all said and done who the greatest player of all time is. I'm going to try to do this in 60 seconds here quickly. I'm glad people are finally catching up to this, because this is who Russell Wilson's been every day of his NFL career. In 2012, he comes in as a rookie, leads them to the playoffs. They're down 14-0 in the first round of the playoffs, leads a comeback for a win. Divisional round, same year as rookie year. They're down 10-0 at halftime. With 30 seconds left in that game, they're up 28-27, only don't win because of a Matt Bryant field goal. The next year, they win the Super Bowl. The next year, they're a yard away from winning the Super Bowl. His 4th year, they get back to the divisional round. He leads the NFL in passer rating. The following year, his now 5th year, they're in the divisional round again. His 6th year, he leads the NFL in touchdown passes. It's a rebuilding year for Seattle. They still are above 500. His 7th year, they go back to the playoffs. He has 35 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, and a 111 passer rating. And this year, he's going to win the damn league MVP. This is a guy, the trajectory of one of the greatest players in league history. And we are seeing it on full display. And if you've been paying attention, we've been seeing it since the day he stepped onto the training camp field and took that job from Matt Flynn. Of course. Yeah, I mean, listen, the guy, if at this point you don't believe LeBron's a closer or, you know, one of, if not the best closer ever, then you're just never going to believe it. I mean, we saw the guy, Vinny, you saw it against your beloved Detroit Pistons when he was 22 years old. Beloved. I'll just give you a hard time because you're from Detroit. When he was 22 years old, the 48 special, score 25 straight to beat a team that had been the crowning team of the conference. We saw him, that was in 2007, right? We saw him in 2018, 11 years later, hit 2 game winners, buzzer beaters, in the same playoff run And by the way, one series against the 1 seed of the conference, the other series in a 7-game war where they needed every single bucket in all those wins. And if people still, I remember when he hit the 2nd game winner of that playoff run, the question was, has LeBron James finally proved he's clutch? It's like, okay. I mean, he just, yeah, another piece of evidence. He's hit more of these shots than anyone ever. He's hit more of these shots in the playoffs than anyone ever. He's the greatest Game 7 playoff performer this side of Bill Russell ever, statistically. We saw him hit a jumper to win a Game 7 of the NBA Finals. We saw him hit a free throw to clinch a Game 7 of an NBA Finals. And we saw him put together the greatest 3-game stretch in basketball history, all in elimination games against the greatest regular season team in NBA history. So, yeah, is he the closer for the Lakers? He'd be the closer on any team at any era. So, yes, of course, he can be the closer for the Lakers. Doesn't always mean he's the closer by shooting it. Sometimes he passes it like he did to George Hill, Game 1 of the NBA Finals a couple years ago. That didn't end great when he missed the free throw. But, yeah, of course he's the closer. Of course. If he's not worth it, nobody is. He is the exact type of player at the exact position that is worth all the money. Whatever the market price is for the best quarterback in football, add 10 to 15% to it, and that's what Patrick Mahomes is clearly and obviously worth, and he showed it this year. Now, the sticker shock is going to be $40 million. So 40 times 5, we can do that math, 200 million.
I can
talking about, yeah, 140 million, maybe 150 million guaranteed. But you can't look at it as 40 million. You've got to look at it as 10 to 12 million, because that's the spread between what Mahomes will cost and what the going rate is for just average quarterback play. So the example I was thinking of is, you go to a steakhouse. Coach took me out to a very nice lunch not very long ago. The steak I wanted, coincidentally, on the bone Kansas City strip. You see it, it's $71. It's an enormous amount of money for a steak, or anything. But the cheapest steak on the menu was $52. So you're anchored at $52. It's really, is it worth the extra $19? In the NFL right now, you're anchored at $28 million. Kirk Cousins cost you $28 million. Jimmy Garoppolo cost you $28 million. So is Patrick Mahomes worth the extra 12? Would you rather have Kirk Cousins and a really good right guard? Would you rather have Jimmy Garoppolo and a solid number 2 corner, or Patrick Mahomes and figure the other position out? That's what it is, because it's not a difference of 0 to 40, it's 28 to 40. So to me, Coach, he is unequivocally, unquestionably worth it. In a world where Russell's at 35 and Aaron's at 36, of course Patrick is worth 40. Points quickly. One is about as long as he performs in May and June, then the regular season won't matter. And I think that's mostly correct. The problem for the Clippers is, going into the year, we knew there were 5 outstanding teams in the Western Conference. The Lakers, the Clippers, the Nuggets, who were the 2 seed last year, the Houston Rockets, who add Russ in place of Chris Paul, and the Jazz, who might have had the best offseason of anyone, not including the teams that added superstars. Adding Conley, adding Boyan, adding
Jeff Green.
Right, and so their starting 5, even though Conley didn't play well to start the year, is out. One of those teams is done after the first round. So the importance of getting a top 3 seed going into the year, I thought, was incredibly high. I'm now going to say the importance of getting a top 2 seed, because that 6 seed's going to be the Dallas Mavericks. And the Dallas Mavericks are not going to beat whoever the 3 seed is, but they might have the best player on the court come the playoffs in Luka Doncic. So are the Clippers, by the time they get to the Lakers or the Rockets in the playoffs, if they get there, having probably started the playoffs on the road, if Kawhi's going to play 60-some games, are they going to have expended too much? And the other point is this, because I think the biggest reason people would like the Clippers over the Rockets is, well, Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs versus James Harden in the playoffs. Show Kawhi. Kawhi won Finals MVP last year, right? That's him against the Golden State Warriors. Now, it was a lesser version of the Golden State Warriors with the Warriors. That's a hell of a line. The guy on the right is better in everything but rebounds, right? Better shooting percentage even, more points, more assists. Who's the guy on the right? That's in the playoffs against the full-strength Golden State Warriors. So much of narratives, full strength until late in Game 5 when KD goes down. So much of the narrative is based on who won, not necessarily based on how well guys produced. people look at what Kawhi did in the finals as heroic and that James Harden choked again. James Harden was objectively better against a tougher Warriors team in round 2 than Kawhi was in the NBA Finals, and we throw it out because the Rockets lost again. That, to me, is not necessarily a fair indicator of who's going to be better come this
Real quick here.
The problem is that people say, this guy's a top 5 player in the league, and then they list 9 people. Like, well, he's definitely, obviously Anthony Davis is a top 5 player in the league. Okay, oh, well, is he? Like, because then you, KD, Kawhi,
oh boy,
Giannis, LeBron, Steph, we're at 5 already. James Harden had been mentioned. So what 2 you taking? And this is the problem with star, superstar. Jason Tatum is really, really good. And Jason Tatum is on his way to maybe making an All-NBA team this year, which would elevate him to the star category, which he is not currently in.
From where?
From where he's in the category of really, really good player.
Okay.
Like, can we just show it? We can just show the tiers. It's super. It's easier visually than verbally.
I love this. We can leave this up all show.
The LeBron tier are your superstars.
Yearbook.
We got 7 of them. LeBron, Giannis, Harden, Kawhi, Anthony Davis, KD, and Steph. It's not in order, by the way. Those are your 7. Then you have the next tier. Guys, some of those guys once were superstars or maybe once will be. Russ, Paul George, Damian Lillard, Klay Thompson, Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, Luka Doncic, and I include Zion Williamson in that already. Some would say that's too early. I don't want to argue with you. And then there's the tier with Jason Tatum. And Jason Tatum, by the way, is not the best player in this tier. He's
there's a sub-tier?
Well, no, I'm just saying that you look across, you got Ben Simmons, you got Kyrie, Chris Middleton.
Oh, God.
I mean, look at Pascal Siakam, Jimmy Butler, you was just talking about. Those are, that is, Chris Paul's in there. That is the tier Tatum's in. So if you think Tatum's a star, then you think there's more than 20 stars in the league. There's not more than 20 stars in the league. They did win. They're going to kneel down. Yeah. Give me double high fives. No? Give me a kiss.
Nice.
Yes!
Yo, is it over under 15 now?
Patrick! Oh!
Is the game over?
Yes! This is why LeBron's the best.
That's right.
LeBron is everything for people that he never had. Always. Never had a dad. So I'm going to be the most involved father imaginable, even if silly shows like this one are going to question, am I too involved at my son's games? I bounced around to different schools, all of which were underfunded, none of which did I know if I was going to be able to get there, if I was going to have the books. So how about I build a school? Along with taxpayers, but I help out a lot, and then send those kids to college, because if I wasn't going to get an athletic scholarship, I wasn't going to be able to go. And now in the NBA, I idolized Michael Jordan, loved him. Had a 15-minute conversation once when I was in high school. I said it was like talking to God. And from that moment forward, Jordan really wasn't messing with me. Kobe was my guy. Kobe, me and Mav went to go see him when we were at the McDonald's. I think it was All-American game. Kobe was playing in Philly. He gave me his shoes. Then I got to the league, and Kobe, a killer now. And Kobe's, no, we don't need to be friends, anything until far later in your career. He didn't have someone doing for him what he's doing for these guys, which is he said to Ja Saturday night, anything you need on or off the court, let me know. And Zion, I think the Zion thing was really interesting. So there was an article in The Athletic from a few days ago saying, why doesn't LeBron have a relationship with Zion? Is there something there? Questioning, is there beef? Is there an issue? Maybe, if you remember, LeBron and Rich Paul showed up at one of Zion's games, ostensibly maybe to recruit him to Clutch, and he doesn't go to Clutch. And LeBron made it clear for everyone to know, listen, man, I might still, during these 48 minutes, try to beat you guys, but then I'm going to be there for you guys at every point because he thinks it is his responsibility to the game. So no matter what you think of Michael and Kareem and Kobe and LeBron and wherever your rankings are, this is where LeBron is batting 1,000 for his career. The things that have to do with being an ambassador for the game, and as he puts it, Vinny, leaving the game better than he found it, he's as good as any athlete I've ever seen. constantly, and last night was another example. You mentioned, Jenna, we got 3 hours to break down the game, and here in a couple minutes, Canty will get us kicked off in that regard. I can't start breaking down the game because you're right. This is why we deal with, as sports fans, the years of heartbreak, and we invest, and we watch shows like this, and we pay for season tickets, and we block out one of our 2 weekend days 20 times a year just for football, is because maybe one day it pays off. Listen, I'm 35 years old. I kind of remember Steve DeBerg as the Chiefs quarterback, but I really remember Joe Montana. And I remember Joe Montana taking the Chiefs to the AFC Championship game when I was a little boy and thinking, okay, this is what being a Chiefs fan is going to be like. And between Montana and Mahomes, there was Bono, there was Gerbach, there was Trent Green, who was good, there was Damon Heward, who was not, there was Tyler Thigpen, who was an abomination, there was Matt Castle, who was frustrating, there was Alex Smith, who I like, but couldn't get you there. You had Marty Schottenheimer, you had Gunther Cunningham, you had Dick Vermeil, who had great moments, you had Herm Edwards, who I like, you have Todd Haley, who I was friends with, you had Romeo Crennel, who's a nice man, but that's about it. And then you had Andy Reid. After post-Montana, you had a game at home when you were 13-3 and you lost by 3 when you missed 3 field goals, including one at the gun. You had a game in the fourth quarter when you had the lead after 13-3 and John Elway led the Broncos on a fourth quarter comeback. You had the no punt game. People know what that is. The Andrew Luck 28-point comeback game. The game against the Steelers where we scored 2 touchdowns. They scored 0 and we lost. The Marcus Mariota touchdown pass to himself game. The D Ford game. And now you've got the Patrick bleeping Mahomes game. Because he wasn't great until he absolutely had to be. And finally, after a Chiefs team that for 25 years had great defenses led by Derek Thomas and Neil Smith and Dale Carter, but no offenses. And great offenses led by Trent Green and Priest Holmes and Hall of Fame offensive linemen, but no defenses. Now you've got the greatest offense and the greatest quarterback in the world with a defense that has an uncanny ability to make really big plays in the most critical moments. And that, my friends, that, my fellow Kansas Cityans, is why for the first time in a half century, we're the champions of the world. And I am over the moon right now, Chris Canty.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.